Another day of wondering what is going to happen with the James Harden saga. But if a deal does indeed go down, could another veteran on this team be included in the trade? We'll break all of it down here on Philly Take with RB.
Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome into the show. As always, hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Be sure to subscribe, and as always, ring that bell down below. That way you don't miss any of the coverage. It definitely helps push this content out to new viewers. And today we are back talking about one of the guys who has gone under the radar this offseason. Let me ask you down below in the comments, do you like PJ Tucker on the Sixers? Do you think it's a good fit to keep him around? Are you satisfied with his fit, going forward with Nick Nurse and the whole system? Let me know down below in the comment section. Real quick, I want to start off with a clip that came out earlier today. Meanwhile, everybody's stressed and wondering what's going on. Here's Joel Embiid at a party, busting some dance moves. Joel Embiid's busting some moves. He doesn't care, man. He's chilling. He's waiting for this whole thing to settle, play out. Let me ask you this, man. Has Joel Embiid been in the gym this offseason? Because he kind of looks slimmed down to me. What do you think about that? We might get a more athletic Embiid. He might be thinking about that training camp when Nick Nurse is making these boys do suicide. He's like, yo, I got to get in shape. Nick Nurse probably told him in their first meeting, said, yo, you got to lose about 20 pounds, my guy. Shout out to Joel Embiid, though, man. Always a great time. Always has a smile on his face, and good to see him in good spirits. But let's go ahead and talk about the news that came out today. I asked you about PJ Tucker, and here is what was put out earlier on HoopsHype by Michael Scotto. He wrote and talked about PJ Tucker. He says, PJ has been mentioned in the James Harden trade talks to the LA Clippers. Quote, PJ Tucker, Harden's longtime teammate with the Rockets and Sixers, has come up in trade discussions between the Sixers and the Clippers, league sources told HoopsHype. The Clippers covet Tucker's ability to guard multiple positions and defend the league's top opposing scorers. Tucker is owed $11 million this upcoming year and has an $11.54 million player option for the 2024-25 season. So essentially, he's going to accept that, right? Like, Tucker, by that time, will almost be 40. There's no reason for him to not accept that. I don't think he's going to get more anywhere else. This is what a lot of people talked about when Daryl Morey signed PJ Tucker, the back end of the deal, which, to be fair, does happen with a lot of players, right? Usually the end of the contracts are not as favorable, but sometimes you have to pay a little bit of an extra price to go out there and get a guy that you want. And on the contrary to many Sixers fans, I like PJ Tucker. I don't think he's as bad as people make him out to be. I just know that, he's not going to do all these different things. I think some people who have heard the name PJ Tucker think he's going to come in here and set the world on fire every night. I know that he's going to have stretches of games where, his shot's not going in and then he's not really doing much else. So he kind of looks like a liability in all facets. And really, I would say the thing that I guess surprised me or ticked me off the most this past year about PJ is that even when he was getting those very good generated looks by James Harden, by Tyrese Maxey, he didn't always want to shoot the ball. He was very hesitant at times. And I did think the Sixers could have used him a little better. Get him in the dunker spot, right? Push him inside a little bit, let him go with that little push shot. They didn't really do much of that. And most of the time, if Tucker was not hitting his shot, which was a lot of the time, yes, he did look like a very big liability. And Sixer fans were already out on him by game 25, game 30. But, in the playoffs, had a couple good moments, right? He was yelling at Embiid. That's one of the reasons you brought him here, that dog mentality, that leadership. And then, even in game 7 against the Celtics, he shot the ball pretty well early on. Obviously, it did not matter, as the evidence shows, right? The Sixers got whopped in that game, but I still like PJ Tucker. However, in these trade talks, if you indeed are moving James Harden, I do think it makes a lot of sense to go out and move PJ Tucker as well. Now, Brian Toporek put this on Twitter as well. He said that Harden and Tucker's salary combined equals $46.6 million. And if James Harden is traded, he would have to waive his trade kicker of 15%. The Clippers would then have to at least send out $42.4 million. He then added up the salaries of Marcus Morris, Nick Batum, Rocco, and KJ Martin And guess what that equals? $42.4 million. What do you think about this trade? Does it entice you? Do you think it makes the Sixers better? This is all nice. The math is all dandy. At the end of the day, though, I've reiterated this point. Daryl Morey is not doing this because this does not make the Sixers better. And I know they kind of have this semi-long-term plan here of getting more cap space, and it seems like they're willing to go all in 2024, depending on what happens. But still, man, I just don't see Daryl Morey stepping back and trading James Harden and trading PJ Tucker, two of his guys, to get, Marcus Morris on that contract, Batum, Rocco, and KJ Martin. I just don't see it happening. And that's my personal opinion, unless he is literally trying to shed every single salary after this upcoming year, which could happen. But anyway, let's talk about what Kyle Neubeck had to say, because he put out an article on Philly Voice, and I thought he made a couple really good points here. Here is Kyle Neubeck's reasoning as to why Tucker should potentially be in trade discussions. Number one, Tucker is going to turn 39 during the playoffs next season, and unlike an aging star like LeBron, his individual talent is not high enough where you'd expect him to win a battle versus the aging curve. Number two, Tucker is set to make $11.5 million if he picks up his player option in 24, which seems damn near certain for a guy that will almost be 40. That could be meaningful in the summer of 24 when the Sixers are hoping to maintain and capitalize on cap space. Number three, Tucker's offensive value is predicated on having an elite playmaker to supply him with standstill threes. And again, like I mentioned, he did get a lot of those looks, but for some reason was very hesitant to shoot those. And I don't know, it definitely ticked me off at times as well. But, who knows, right? Could he fit in a Nick Nurse system? I do think that PJ Tucker could be a player in Nick Nurse system due to his defensive switchability, due to his ability to guard multiple positions and guard some of these better guys. But again, like it's been mentioned here, he is getting older, and who knows if his body will be able to hold up in due time, right? And number four from Kyle Neubeck, he says, in the event that the Sixers trade James Harden, you would think that there would be some inclination to become a more versatile and athletic team overall. And I think that's one of the best points right there. The Sixers trade Harden. They're trying to get quicker. They're trying to get faster. Sure, PJ Tucker can probably defend in a Nick Nurse system, but the kind of guys he likes to have. And even though Nick Nurse did seem to play some of those older players, the Raptors didn't have a lot of those, right? They had the longer athletic guys. And it seems to me that we're going to play a more up-tempo style of basketball, and Tucker will probably not fit that mold. So maybe he could even come off the bench, though, right? Maybe Nurse will experiment with that. But I do think, like Neubeck mentions, the inclination is to get younger and faster. So while Tucker adds defensive toughness and a lot of grit on and off the floor, there's only so much juice that he can offer. And I think that is an ultimately great point. So at the end of the day, when it comes down to PJ Tucker, am I going to be mad if he is on the Sixers roster opening day? No, I'm not. And I know people will probably be frustrated with that, but I do think there is a little more to get out of PJ Tucker. And I think it comes down to the X's and O's. Nick Nurse is very smart, and I really think he could bring more ability out of some of these guys, not even just PJ Tucker, but Tobias Harris as well. The question is, will it be enough, right? Will it be enough based on what happens with this roster to get the Sixers over the top? Well, we'll have to wait and see in due time. But if PJ Tucker is included in trade talks and if he ends up getting moved in a deal, am I going to be too mad about it? Nah, probably not. I do think that extra year with that player option could definitely hinder the Sixers. And based on how Daryl Morey has treated this offseason, again, a lot can happen, but it seems like he's just willing to go with the flow and wait and see if another team will end up offering a star in return from James Harden. And if you look at the Sixers contracts right now, if you look at their books, they really have a good shot of almost clearing everybody other than Maxey, Embiid, and maybe Jaden Springer next offseason, which could create, like Daryl Morey mentioned in his interview, a ton of cap space to really kind of retool this team around Embiid and Maxey. And, if Tucker's off the books and Tobias and Harden after this year, and you're just clearing all these contract slots, I don't think it's too bad, of an idea. So if Tucker is included in a deal, which I do think he will be mentioned in trade talks, it's not going to surprise me. But I think what you need to look out for is the first domino. If James Harden gets traded, then I think Tucker will likely be on the move. I think Tobias will be in discussions, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, we just have to wait and see how this whole drama-filled offseason plays out. We have to wait and see what comes next in the story. But at the end of the day, those are just my thoughts. Give me yours down below. Do you like PJ Tucker on the Sixers? Do you think he should absolutely 100% be moved? Obviously, a disappointing year for the most part last year, but did have some good moments in the playoffs. We'll see what happens next. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. With that being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.